But anyhow,
I remember myself as like a 5'7" man being 210 at one point. I'm like, I wouldn't turn the legs off anybody. I was turning the legs off a chicken. That's what I was doing.
well, I'm sure he does that too, but
I was getting
he's getting pretty fucking good at
double
jiu-jitsu.
leg, turkey leg down on the reg.
Yeah.
Double leg takedown.
Double leg takedown.
They call that the
Colonel's
20
bucket.
leg. The 20 leg takedown.
Nice. The old
Oof.
20 piece.
With side
Well,
of loaded mashed potatoes.
I mean, yeah, KFC is fantastic, but it hurts your innards. Now,
It does.
anyhow,
It doesn't take long either.
no,
Speaking of hurting your innards, the NFC East.
the NFC East, folks. Here we are. I don't know if hurting our innards is the right description for
Listen,
it. I honestly think it's a pretty decent division as divisions in the NFL go. There's a lot of talented players in that division. There's kind of one stink fest of a team, which we all know who they are.
Every
and
single
then-
team in the NFC East last year was above 500. So what are you talking about?
Okay, well, we'll get there. This is what we build suspense. We build it up. You know what I'm saying?
By lying?
We get it. Hey, let's all right, come on. And anyway, so we have one team that got lucky last year. I feel like I don't think they're a good football team.
I think there's a couple teams
They
that got
reside
lucky.
in Washington. They should still be called the Redskins. Instead, they're called some horrific.
I don't think they should be
Commanders,
called
whatever.
that.
I mean, okay, maybe they shouldn't be called the Redskins, but they certainly shouldn't be called the Commanders. It's
I can
a
agree with
horrible
that.
name.
Yeah,
Like-
no to Redskins, also no to Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, fair
Also
enough.
no to Washington football team, though. So
Also true.
Let's call them the Greenskins. Why not? Let's make fun of orcs. They're a fictional race. It's okay.
because that's dorky. That's why not.
Honestly,
the orcs.
if you made
Call
them the
them
orcs,
Greenskins.
Orky dorky over
Yeah.
here.
I would be like it.
The Washington Urkai. All right, bub. My dog.
I feel like that's
my
more of
dog
a
agrees.
Canadian football league kind of thing.
Well, I
Finish.
mean, the Urukai would be an amazing, also dorky name for a football team, but that would be cool. Come out with like the hand of Saruman, like on the side of your helmet.
That should
That-
that just have that
I
as the
do
logo,
like that.
That'd be
I do like
wild.
that.
and like
Right?
put the logo like here.
Yeah. And then you're all doing like face paint, and that's how you like come out.
I'm not gonna lie, that's cool. I'm
pretty
on,
badass, right?
I'm on the Washington Urukai squad. I like that.
I mean, they would just have to. They'd have to get the rights for it. All right, my puppy is freaking out over here. 1 second.
But
Hey, leave it alone.
He's not gonna get up to do anything about it. He's just gonna
No.
No, I just yell at it.
I was prepared for like a
Right.
Patrick Eggs thing. He goes, "Hey,
Yeah.
stop that."
Well, that's how you do it, man. She just hears stuff outside. Anyway, total sidebar in the conversation there, but we're talking NFC East, folks. Obviously, Commanders, Giants, Cowboys, Eagles.
Most exciting
in that-
division in all of football.
I mean, that's debatable for you two, I guess. We all know why. I mean, we would digress to go
Sorry,
down the old,
I
the old
guess-
Homer route, but
I guess they just get the best ratings every year, no matter what, no matter when, and
I
what
mean,
their record
they
is.
were exciting last year. I mean, you have four of the largest market football teams is part of it.
They also
obviously.
represented
you know.
the NFC in the Super Bowl, so like I don't understand where all of these opinions that you have are coming from.
Listen, somebody's got to keep you two in check. on
I
this
mean, all you have to do is
podcast,
say the
you know.
truth, Patrick. That's all. We're just
Oh,
yeah, why are you
I'll
bringing
speak
an
the truth.
agenda into this podcast?
Yeah,
Why
what
can't
do
the
you-
stats just be the
because,
stats?
you know,
I'm hearing
we
a lot
all
of
know-
conjecture.
Listen,
I mean, I'm going to give you
Conjecture-
some conjecture, but like, can we get to the stats first?
conjecture is the lifeblood of this podcast, gentlemen. Without
all we got.
conjecture, we have
That's
nothing.
all
not
we
wrong.
got.
That's
It's
not
all we
wrong.
got. That's
But
all
like
we got.
usually it's in better taste, I guess.
Or
Yeah.
it's at least, yeah.
I
Masked
mean,
for a little while longer.
nah, man. I told you, man, when we started this one, I'm a little tired today. Mask is fully off. We're not hiding anything, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, the kimono is open, ladies and gentlemen.
Hmm.
Here's what I'm trying to say. To me, I think there's a clear worst team in this division. I think it's Washington. I don't really
Yeah.
think there's any debate around that.
Nope.
I think
they-
everybody agrees.
Yeah, they have the least talent of any of the four teams. There
Because they
are
have the least
some-
quarterback.
Yes, but there are some interesting storylines around that. And I think they're less screwed at quarterback as, versus like some of the other teams that we consider as bad teams. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the highlight out of Arizona training camp. Have you
Oh,
seen
it
this
was
video?
bad. It was
Oh,
bad.
that was brutal.
We've
It was
talked so
brutal.
much about Arizona based on what Arizona is going to be, and it sucks that we're going to go talk about them again.
Oh,
We're
man.
not going to go into it, but go watch it, folks. The video, I believe it was Colt McCoy, is either him or Clayton Tune, which is the other guy, whoever that guy is, that could win the quarterback job down there. But basically, they take forever to get the playoff. They drop back in the pocket and throw an absolute duck, and it just like slowly floats down the field and hits the defender in the back of the helmet. Like it's most
true.
ugly looking play.
And it's right after, because like they're not hitting the quarterback, obviously. So it's right after you see a defender like fly past the quarterback as like that would have been a quarterback pressure. Like it's like the defender goes past him, and then there's like a turn in the throw. So it's not like he was getting it off in any shape or form. And then the fact that it hits the defender in the back of the helmet, it's just so ugly.
It's just
it's comically bad.
Such a you can already see the signs of a massively inept offense in Arizona right there. But anyhow, we're talking about Washington, and I just want to highlight that point because I think Sam Howell is going to be better than either of those guys. I think he has the opportunity to be. I think he at least has an arm. It's just going to come down to, is he able to thrive in that system? Are they going to give him enough rope to see what he's got?
It sure doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't sound like it because they got Jacoby Brissett, and Jacoby Brissett's sitting there waiting in the wings. And, everybody in Washington is going to remember what Jacoby Brissett was able to do for the Browns last year. He won a lot of ball games for them.
He did.
He's a competent quarterback. He can win football games, and so if they come out and they stink, and
I think Ron Rivera's got to go, and it's weird to say that, but I think I just don't think
I like him.
I just don't think it's for him anymore.
I think the game has passed him by, his coaching style, sadly enough, and I think that sucks because I think as a person, he's a great person from everything that I've seen. Just his story, like if you listen to him talk in interviews and him coming through cancer to come back to coaching again, everything like that, it's a good story. Of course, we've never met him, right? I don't know him personally, but he seems like
I don't know. Maybe you did. You said
I've never met Riverboat Ron, but anyway,
but you got a connection with him.
I feel compassion for the man. I like him,
how many games is this team winning this year?
6.
Maybe 7. Okay,
I say 6.
6 games,
and that'll be a struggle for them.
Yeah, if they got 8, I'd be stunned.
Well, the thing is
they won. They won as many as they did last year. I don't think they got better or worse anywhere. Maybe a little better, maybe better at quarterback because they didn't have a quarterback situation last year. But
Heineke played admirably, right? But he's no starter in the NFL. Let's be honest. I think there's just a lot of question marks in this team. Now, the biggest thing for the offense and for fantasy is the addition of Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator coming out of Kansas City, and what he was able to do down there with Andy Reid. And, Andy Reid's a genius, but he was one of the first to say that Eric Bieniemy was a huge part of what they were able to do there. And
does it seem strange that Eric Bieniemy took an offensive coordinator job in Washington?
This is what he's trying to do. He's going to a team that is in complete offensive disarray, and he's going to go in there, and he thinks he can install his system and turn this inept team into a competent working offense, and that's going to be his audition for a head coaching job. Because everybody else is saying right now, well, you only did it because you have Patrick Mahomes and you got Andy Reid. If he can do it in Washington and make it work, then everybody will know, no, it's Eric Bieniemy. He's a good coach.
That's a good way of looking at it.
I think that's
rounding out his resume a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not like he's locked into being there for the next decade. Maybe he dips out in 3 years.
Yeah, I think he had 3-year tour of duty is what he's looking at, and then maybe he's also
new ownership. Maybe he's auditioning for that head coaching job and Ron Rivera's out.
Yeah, I think that's also part of
that could be it. That could be it.
So the winds of change are blowing in Washington is what we're saying. Dan Snyder's gone. They could have a renaissance. I think it's going to take them a while to get that stink off, but it seems like they're making the right moves administratively. So we'll see what happens.
Well, where are the fantasy points coming in the Washington offense?
Well, that I wanted to mention Bieniemy specifically because there is a player that I'm very excited about as a value in Washington this year. We talked a little bit about the quarterbacks. Sure, I don't think anybody should be drafting any of those guys, so we can move to the running backs. And who I'm most excited about is I think Brian Robinson is going to be a great, solid volume guy, but who I'm most excited about is Antonio Gibson. And the reason why I'm excited about Antonio Gibson is because J.D. McKissick isn't there anymore. And look at what the Chiefs did with Jerick McKinnon. Okay, Antonio Gibson and Jerick McKinnon are very similar players.
You think that? I do not think that.
My eyeballs tell me otherwise.
Yeah, I'm more excited about Brian Robinson, but it does seem like the entire fantasy world is like, if you're talking about Washington at all, is talking about Antonio Gibson because of what might happen. And he's second on my list in their backfield.
I've seen that man get the chances before and just be very pedestrian. And I've seen it in recent memory.
You have a different coaching staff, and some of the pieces that were there that would interfere with his upside are no longer there. And also, he's going to play a different role. It's a different offense.
Perhaps, and I do think coaches aren't going to be on the field between whistles. You know what I mean? So, like, you can eliminate some things and put you in a better position.
I've seen what I've seen.
Telling me that maybe you're not that good. It's not going to do you much.
Man, I think we forget the times when he was an absolute stud. There was moments when he was considered like a top 12 guy.
I am forgetting that.
When
was that?
Yeah.
How long?
Oh,
when was that?
You got to look back. It wasn't last year. I think it was maybe the year before that. But
maybe the year before that.
And was it just one season?
Because was it for like a 3-game stretch?
I remember it.
Listen, guys,
I don't care for
he's
this.
a guy that you can get in the 7th, 8th round. This is my point: is that you can get a guy.
Can you?
That's your point.
Yeah, he's going very late. He's going in the 30s. 30 like running back, some like 30 or so off the board, I believe.
Where's Robinson going?
Robinson, I believe, is going slightly before him. They're going very close together. Let me I want to pull up some rankings here because I'm interested to look at where they are going specifically for this discussion. So Brian Robinson is the RB31 in half-point PPR. Antonio Gibson's the RB36. They're in the same tier, technically. The other guys going around would be like Khalil Herbert, Rashad Penny, James Cook. I'd love to have James Cook over both of them. I think James Cook's fantastic. But
I also agree with that.
But all I'm trying to say is that as like a depth piece at running back, I think Antonio Gibson can be put into the flex position specifically. I mean, are you gonna flex him against San Francisco? No. Are you gonna flex him against Dallas? No. Are you gonna flex him against Philly? No. But
Houston?
No. Or against New York. I think you could flex him against the Giants. The Giants are a solid defense, but I think you could flex Gibson against them. And I'm just saying, I think he's gonna get 5 to 7 targets a game. You have a young, inexperienced quarterback. There's gonna be dump offs. Like, I'm just saying, like, he's gonna get the ball.
How many all-purpose yards and touchdowns? What's your prediction for him this season?
I think you could see him push for 1,000 all-purpose yards between receiving and rushing, which is not
consistent.
Yep. And then because I think he's gonna get a shit ton of targets. He's gonna get every target at running back. Brian Robinson is not a pass-catching running back.
How many
touchdowns?
I mean, 5 last year.
Okay, so you give him if you give him 500-600 yards receiving, and like
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's double any he's had in a single season in his career.
Ever.
Okay. So let's be more modest. Okay, let's bring it down in a second.
Have it more realistic.
Let's say he gets 400 yards receiving and he catches 50 balls, and then he gets 300-400 yards rushing and he gets 6-7 touchdowns. Where he's going in the draft, that's going to be a massive value, because he's probably going to finish, instead of RB36, he's going to finish like RB25 to 28. That's a flex play.
A good argument, but I think I just disagree.
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying.
I don't see Antonio Gibson getting better. I see him as a running back. I see him aging. I think time is not on his side.
So what's Brian Robinson's role in this offense to you guys then?
He's a goal line back in the first and second down. That's
he's going to be the volume guy. And they have a young quarterback, and they're going to run the ball more than other teams will.
But the thing is, it just depends. I mean, yeah, I think Robinson's going to be valuable too, but he's not going to get any passing work. And to me, I don't want that. Like, unless it's the super high volume running backs, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, who even those guys have gotten involved. Like at least Derrick Henry has gotten involved in the passing game in recent years, right? But and they're talking about Nick Chubb being that way too. I don't want guys who don't have an ability to catch passes out of the backfield as like my primary running backs. Like, I want somebody who's catching passes, because it adds so much value.
Are maybe talking about primary running backs?
You know what else adds a lot of value, though? And then I'll stop beating the dead horse, is getting first and second down consistent carries.
Yeah, like just having volume. Just having a guy that's worth 8 points a week.
So this is what you guys are failing to remember. In 2020,
Interesting.
Hold on. In 2020, he was the RB12. In 2021, he was the RB11. Last year, he was the RB35. But they were not a good offense.
Okay, so he had his worst quarterback of those, he was the starting running back, right? And the other one where the stats sucked, he was the second string running back, which is what he's going to be this year.
That's right. But even last year, caught 46 passes for 353 yards.
Uh-huh.
A slight uptick in that, and he's in the 400s. 500, 400, 500.
That's a 4-point thing you just pointed out over the course of a season. That's about a third of a point a week.
His targets have gone up every year. I think his targets go up from 58 to like 70 to 80 this year. That's what I think. Okay.
I'll let it go. That's a lot of value. My part. I feel like we talked a lot about this, man.
Well, it's good to have debates about it and dig into it, because I think he is a value. You guys,
I just want you to be held accountable for all the nonsense that you say. That's all.
Please do. You guys were telling me that I was wildly off on his stats. 353. If he gets 700,
you did. You said 700.
Okay, I said 1,000 all-purpose yards though. So let's fact check that one.
Okay, let's go back to that one.
Yards, 1,000 all-purpose yards, right? Even last year, where you guys admit, even when you guys admit you think that he sucked last year, 546 yards on the ground, 353 through the air. That was 900 yards, and you thought he sucked last year.
He did.
It's not crazy for him to get 1,000 yards.
I did not want him on my team last year because I thought he sucked. And so you calling for him to suck that much again doesn't make me want him on my team.
I think when he is healthy,
like, didn't he get kicked off the starting duties twice?
They made him a kick returner right before Brian Robinson got shot.
You guys had you
believe in him more than the coaching staff does.
I think he is an underutilized player. I think you're getting an offensive coordinator that's going to come in there and things are going to be different, and you're going to utilize this guy because he's one of the most talented pass catchers out of the backfield in the NFL in my mind. That was the pedigree coming out of college. And I think you're going to see that out of Antonio Gibson this year.
Did he go to Wisconsin or something? Is there something you're not telling us?
He did not go to Wisconsin, man.
Is he the leading fantasy guy on Washington for you then?
He's only 25. He's only 25. He's only been in the league 3 years. And by no means is he dusted. He was an RB1 for 2 out of 3
dusted.
seasons.
Yeah, he's dusted, and it's not his
you guys are
fault.
nuts.
That's what happens to running backs. It's not his fault. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying, like, when you're not the best like tier in the league as a running back, your career is 3 years long unless your name's Latavius Murray. So
I want explosive players to play in my flex spot, and I think Antonio Gibson is that. We can move
I also want explosive players in my flex position, and I don't think Antonio Gibson's the guy.
And we can agree to disagree, folks.
That's where it gets lit.
The arguments have been made on both sides. Let's talk about these wide receivers a little bit.
You say it like they have more than one.
They do have more than one.
You say it like
I guess the Curtis Samuel. I forgot about him.
Jahan Dotson, man.
Yeah, Dotson's
come on, man.
The prototype there.
All kind of touchdowns in the beginning of last year. He flashed some skill very early on in the season last year. The first 4 weeks he had a crazy touchdown rate. I think in the first 4 or 5 weeks he had like 5 touchdowns. Maybe I'm off by 1 or something there, but
I do remember I do remember like a Jahan Dotson bomb that was like 60-yard post that 2 defenders ran into each other, and then the ball like flipped up in the air into his hands after. I remember seeing something I'm like, oh, he's so good. I watched that. I'm like, that was good for him.
No, go back and watch the one where he back shoulders one in the corner of the end.
Oh yeah, I mean he's crazy talented.
Perfect.
There was that stretch at the beginning of the season where I was like, oh, Washington might have something out wide, and then it just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we could be, if Sam Howell is a pleasant surprise, then, or to be honest, for this year, the best thing for the Washington wide receivers is if Jacoby Brissett's the quarterback, because look what he did for Amari Cooper last year. I think Jacoby Brissett being the quarterback with a good offensive coordinator in Washington would mean very good things for Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
I've never been high on Terry McLaurin just because this offense always just is so tepid in recent years. I mean, again, I just made the argument why it could change massively with a good offensive coordinator. Maybe they're a pleasant surprise. If that's the case, we know McLaurin is talented. We know he's a good route runner.
Yep.
We know he has the ability to demand targets. I mean, I haven't taken
consistent.
Him anywhere, I don't know. Maybe I'm too low. Maybe I'm too off of McLaurin just because I've gotten so used to seeing him just have mediocre finishes, versus where he goes. I don't see him being a league winner type guy.
Where did he finish the last year?
He's always in like wide receiver 2 territory. He's never really below that, as far as I remember.
Because it always seems so sneaky, because it's like Terry McLaurin, but then like it's in the fourth quarter, it's Terry McLaurin.
I mean, he absolutely roasted my Packers last year. Like he killed them at the end of the game. He literally won the game for them. Yeah, as consistent as it comes. Check it out. Actually, his best finish of his entire career at fantasy was last year. Interestingly enough, but 2019 wide receiver 24, 2020 wide receiver 23. 2021, wide receiver 24, and then last year, wide receiver 14. So he's very consistent. I mean, he's got a high floor and a low ceiling.
Seemingly getting better.
Work. Definitely consistent because he's been almost exactly 1,000 yards every season, between 4 and 7 touchdowns every season. Damn.
Well, if what we're talking about Eric Bieniemy coming in, trending the right way, have a proven weapon on the outside, don't you think like you got to consider that an upgrade? I mean, if we're talking Antonio Gibson being an upgrade, Terry McLaurin's easily is their fantasy guy if they got one, right?
Right, but here's the thing: a quarterback dump off to a running back can be done by any quarterback in the league, regardless of talent. Driving the ball down the field with accuracy is another matter, which is what Terry McLaurin needs to get into wide receiver 1 territory. You know what I mean?
I mean, are we talking about Terry McLaurin being a wide receiver 1 territory? I don't think that's what we're talking about here. I think he's the most relevant fantasy member on their roster.
Right. I think if so, let's think about it this way. let's say that Sam Howell comes in here and, maybe he lays a dud. Jacoby Brissett comes in and has a Geno Smith-esque season in Washington, which I think would be nuts. I think if anybody has a Geno Smith-esque type season in Washington, it would be Sam Howell, because I don't think Jacoby Brissett has that level of upside. Jacoby Brissett's a game manager, but he can throw the ball down the field and he can drive volume to wide receivers. You know what I mean? But if Sam Howell is actually good and can accurately throw the ball down the field, then Terry McLaurin could easily be a wide receiver one. If he goes from 5 touchdowns up to 8, 9, 10, maybe, then he's a wide receiver one with the same amount of volume.
You think easily?
Oh yeah.
Like, who else is in wide receiver 12 like territory?
He would have to beat out like the guys around there would be
Jalen
like
Waddle,
Garrett
DK
Wilson.
Metcalf. You got him in that same group, possibly.
Well, DK right now is technically ranked around 14th, 15th. He's not considered a wide receiver one in terms of ADP right now.
I mean, 14's real close. You know what I mean? So, but do you have Terry McLaurin in that space?
I mean, I can see it for DK a lot easier than I can see it for Terry McLaurin, just because of the offense that he's in and the quarterback that he has, and then the other parts.
Higher percentage is happening,
yeah, and also the ability of DK to score touchdowns because of his physical presence on the field in the red zone. Obviously, is a big difference versus Terry McLaurin. Yeah. I mean, but like the thing is the Commanders don't have a guy who is a big-bodied, commanding wide receiver in the red zone. Jahan Dotson just showed himself to have a nose for the end zone last year, and if he continues that, then it takes away from McLaurin's touchdown upside, and he doesn't get there. But all I'm saying is, you have a guy that has the talent to do it. He needs to see more in the touchdown department. I think he's going to hold down that volume. If he's the last guy available and you need somebody that's consistent and he's going to finish as a wide receiver 2, then Terry McLaurin's your guy. If you need consistency and you already have upside on your roster, then he's your guy.
All right, so here we are then. Where are you taking Terry McLaurin?
So many guys I'd rather have before him.
So get to it.
He'd be one of those ones that I'm looking on there, and like the ADP's got him like he should have gone 8 picks ago. I'm like, oh yeah, he's still there. Let me pick him. I've forgotten about him up until that point. That's how he is for me.
He's model of consistency.
This is who he's going around right now. There's a batch of wide receivers. There's like a clump of them that go together in drafts, and it starts out with DeAndre Hopkins. All right, he's at the top of it. And then it's Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin. I think Christian Watson is mixed in there too.
Where's Christian Kirk?
Christian Kirk might be part of that. No, Christian Kirk is right after that clump. But there's about 5 or 6 wide receivers all clumped together right there. But to be honest with you, I'd probably rather have DJ Moore this year. Because I think there's a lot.
I think I'd rather have DJ Moore also, because DJ Moore is really, really good, and they got to do it.
There's more upside.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, and same with Mike Williams. You were talking with
Mike because Williams. you want to have a Charger. I believe in Mike Williams more than I believe in Keenan Allen. So like,
I disagree with there. I like Keenan Allen a lot this year. Both of them staying healthy. Right, we can't assume injuries, right? Because they both get injured every single year. Well, let's say they both play a full season.
Mike Williams.
I don't know, man.
I think so too. But like, I'm not bummed about either one of them. I've just seen Mike Williams put up some 30 burgers, and I just haven't seen that in a while. Keenan Allen's been more of that consistent kind of thing for me.
Yeah, Keenan Allen and Terry McLaurin feel like this to me.
Keenan Allen, I feel like, has much more upside than McLaurin because of the quarterback that he has, the offense that he's in, and the volume. Volume that team's going to see this year.
What did Keenan Allen finish the last 2 years? Wide receiver.
Well, last year he was injured quite a bit.
He's been injured every year. I want to know. I just want to know.
I feel like the year before last, I don't remember which one he played more games in.
I'm willing to hear.
So this last year he was injured quite. Okay, So last year he was 41
mm-hmm.
because he was injured a lot.
To Terry McLaurin's 14. Okay, continue.
Right. The year before that, though, he was wide receiver 15. The year before that, 19. The year before that, 11, 15. Number 3. He was number 3 in 2017.
We can't. I mean, 2017 is a long time ago.
Yeah. But listen to this, though. Before last year, these are the games played. I'm going to read you 6 years straight. 16 games, 16 games, 16 games. Those are all full seasons because they didn't have 17 back then. 14 games, 16 games, 10 games last year. So he's done it and been healthy more than he's not in 6 out of the last 7 years. So odds are he stays healthy.
I don't think that is how that. I don't think that's how that looks. I think he's older and more injury prone now than he would have been any other times.
Same age as Devonta Adams. They're the same age, man. Just saying.
I think Devonta Adams could miss some time too.
I mean, maybe, but I'm not presuming injury, and I'm assuming when I look at this, obviously, like you have to consider injury for some players, right? I mean, you do consider it with Keenan and Mike Williams because they have been injured repeatedly in recent years. But if I'm looking at it, and because I'm assuming the reason why I don't look into it so much at wide receivers because I'm assuming that, like, yeah, maybe I get one guy over here that has like some injury history, but out of the 4 out of 5 other guys that I have, enough of them are going to be guys that don't have injury history.
Yeah, you don't load your roster with it.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't. Like, if you're thinking about it in the back of your head. But, anyway, we're getting in the weeds. I think Keenan Allen and McLaurin are similar type of players that get a lot of volume and don't have a lot of touchdown upside. If either one of them was able to change in the touchdown department, then they would massively catapult up the rankings where they finish at the end of the year. So
yeah,
Jahan Dotson is like a 8th to 10th round guy. If you want, I think there's better guys out there. There's better 2nd-year wide receivers out there, but he's an interesting guy.
There's a decent chance that he won't be drafted.
I think he gets drafted.
I think
he goes late.
If he didn't, and someone goes, no one got Jahan Dotson, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, I can't believe that.
He won't make it out of the draft. If I'm drafting, I'll take him. If he's there in the 15th round, I'm taking Jahan Dotson. I'm just saying because he's going to be the best player left on the board at that point. So, but anyway, the tight end's irrelevant here. Logan Thomas is older than the hills. You don't want him. I mean, you barely want these pass catchers outside of Terry McLaurin, so you definitely don't want the tight end.
Logan Thomas couldn't stay healthy 5 years ago, or I think he can do it now.
Yeah, I mean, he had some fun upside there for half a second, and then it was over. So, but anyway, should we move on? We spent a lot of time on Washington.
We always give so much juice to the worst team.
Well,
we're just full of vinegar, man. We're hot with the pressure starting off, and then just
too much Washington heat.
Well, there was some interesting storylines with Washington to talk about, but I think it's also clear who the number 3 team is in this division, and I think that's New York, right? I mean, there's two top dogs, and
it's really close between them and Philly, but yeah.
That's hilarious. I don't think it's close at all. Anyhow.
It's probably not.
It's not close at all. You have 2 teams at the top that are neck and neck, and there's a clear and distant third in my mind. I think the Giants are still going to play well. They have a good coach who I think could potentially be in the process of molding another troubled young quarterback into something that could be worthwhile. Yeah. I think Daniel Jones showed a lot of progress last year. He turned the ball over a lot less. He made better decisions. He looked way more comfortable running the offense than he has his entire career. And he bought himself another year or 2 as the starting quarterback in New York, I think, because of what they were able to accomplish last year.
Unless he just, for whatever reason, absolutely nosedives this year.
I mean, he would have to be horrible.
Yeah. His leash isn't so long that it doesn't matter, but I think
it's longer than it was.
You're right. He looked okay. And that Vanilla Vic moniker, love that. Absolutely love that.
Vanilla Vic.
Yeah.
He looks nothing like Mike Vick. He looks so awkward when he runs, but he does run, and he's kind of fast.
He's even got a goofy face.
Deceptively fast.
He is deceptively fast, yeah.
Yep.
And he's such a weird-looking guy.
Mm-hmm. He's one of those quarterbacks that you think he's just going for the pylon to get the first down, and then somehow skates down the sideline for like 12 more yards before anybody hits him. Like,
yeah, he makes good decisions on when to run. He has a knack for knowing when to run.
Like, I do feel like the end of his career, though, is going to be him not knowing when.
It's going to be him getting lit up and having
probably because he's just a tall, gangly dude, and some linebacker's going to hit him right in the numbers.
He just looks really hittable, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yeah,
might just be the face.
Yeah, it's true. He's got a hittable face. He's got a hittable face,
and he probably is. He's as big. I would be interested to see weight-wise and height-wise how he stacks up against Trevor Lawrence. You know what I mean? Because I think they're very similar.
I can't wait to know that right now.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is 6'5", 220, and Trevor Lawrence is...
Wow, that's pretty big.
He's a big man.
6'5", 220.
6'6", and 220.
Oh, is he good or is he good? They're like the same guy, right?
They're basically the same.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we're not...
muscle definition looks different, though.
I mean, well,
it does. It looks a little different.
There's another level of athletic pedigree down there in Jacksonville versus.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Vanilla Vic, but anyway, I think Daniel Jones is a quarterback. He's gonna get drafted.
I might draft him.
Yeah, he's gonna be drafted. He might end up being. If somebody wants to take the upside on his rushing ability over, let's say, like a Kirk Cousins or an Aaron Rodgers or something like that, I could easily see that. That's kind of right where he slides in, right there. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith. That's the territory where Daniel Jones is, right in that grouping.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones or Dak Prescott.
You still got to go Dak.
Ooh, it's kind of close though.
It's kind of close.
It's kind of close, though.
Yeah, I mean,
fantasy.
So we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I mean, I guess we might as well talk about it right now because we're talking about Dallas next. But the thing is that the problem for Dak this year is they're going to run the ball more. The offense is going to be a little different this year, which is interesting to me that they're going to plan on running the ball more because I don't think they have the depth at running back to do that.
Yeah, they can go out and get more. They can go get more of those.
Yeah, but that would be the only argument in favor of somehow taking Daniel Jones over Dak. But I just
you think that's the only argument? I think it's I think the upside with Daniel Jones in fantasy is easily higher. I think it's more of a risk, but like if you're needing some splash.
He doesn't have a superstar wide receiver. He has Saquon and Darren Waller, who are gonna eat into it. But that's not nothing. Clearly,
nothing.
So if we're Daniel Jones, there's upside there. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks I would rather have in front of him. The upside is much greater with a guy like Richardson in Indianapolis, but the downside is also a lot greater with a guy like Richardson too. So
yes,
yeah. Uncertainty.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think we covered Daniel Jones pretty well. If we're talking about running backs, we got Saquon, who luckily ended his holdout. He's going to play. He's going to be there. He's committed. He's with the team. There's not question marks up in the air anymore, which is nice going into the draft season. We still don't know what the hell's going on with Josh Jacobs. We don't. That one's still completely up in the air. We don't know what's going on with Jonathan Taylor. So it's nice to have finality to it and know that Saquon's going to be there and he's going to be the guy and there's not going to be any weird nonsense. So he's a top 5 running back easily. After Eckler and CMC, you could take him.
He's got landmine written all over him. He's got lose my fantasy season written all over him.
Or you might be right only because of where he's going.
Oh yeah, you got
because
you
again,
take
you
him in
can't
the top
win
8.
your draft in somebody in the first 10 picks, but you can lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the thing is too,
I don't like it.
You could have that happen with anybody. You could take CMC and CMC could blow his knee apart. Same thing. Eckler could get hurt. That's the risk you take when you take a running back in the first round. It's the risk you take when you take anybody in the first round. If your first round pick gets destroyed,
it's true. I mean, yeah, like
trouble,
that's obviously. But I'm telling you, the way that I feel, he's the one that glows on that list of like 9 bodies that says this is the one. This is the one that's not going to be worth it.
But there's a possibility that he makes it out of the first round and into the early second because
I do not think that is going to be the case.
Well, look at it this way. If you're looking at straight rankings wise, right? Let's think about it. You got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp's probably going before him, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, arguably, right? And then we didn't even mention any of the running backs that are going to go ahead of him. CMC and Eckler. So that's already 7. Bijan arguably should go in front of him too. That would be 8. And
I don't know if he will.
I mean, I
could see him around the turn for the 1 and the 2, but if he slipped into the second, I'd be a little surprised. If he did, it's because somebody drafted a quarterback.
Yeah, and that could happen.
Or they thought they would rather have AJ Brown or CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, but you're
or Stephon Diggs.
You know what I mean? To bump you from 8 to 13, you need a few of those there.
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, Nick Chubb, where's he at? He's ahead of him, right?
No, yes.
I think I would rather have Nick Chubb.
I would rather have Nick Chubb. I am part of the Chubb club this year. I want him on the squad.
I got full Chubb.
I'm telling you right now, I might take Nick Chubb 3rd overall.
Running backs, you mean?
God, I hope you're in the 3rd.
No, I mean 3rd overall. I believe in him.
Oh, that's way too high.
Yeah, it's too much.
I hear you.
Way too high.
I hear what you're saying.
It's Cleveland.
Let
us not forget.
If I'm at 3, I'm not getting Nick Chubb if I don't take him at 3.
Yeah, but that doesn't do anything about the value that I think you'd still be losing.
He could potentially fall to you, but I think you're gonna. It depends. It depends on who's. No, I mean, if you're 3, getting him on the comeback would be tough.
Don't get me wrong. Like I think 3 is a little high, but like
so high.
I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it.
It's a hot take.
I've had daydreams about taking him at 4 though.
Because I was on your side about the Chubb, and then you said that, and I'm like, well, let's create some distance here for the viewers.
3's a little high. 3's a little high.
But
like,
let's pump the brakes there, guy. He doesn't have the upside that Eckler and CMC have. Not even close. Yeah. So,
Eckler's my dude.
Yeah, I mean, Eckler be everybody's dude. But
how do you feel about the Giants wide receivers? Unless you wanted to touch on the running backs some more, because none of these guys excite me.
No, I don't give a shit about any of them. I think Darren Waller is going to be possibly, honestly, he might have one hell of a year because they don't have a true 1 receiver.
Last time we saw it, he lit it up.
He did.
I mean, but here's the thing.
But Daniel Jones doesn't throw the ball as well as Derek Carr, so let's also remember that.
Throws the ball to the tight end a fuck ton though. Remember when Bellinger was a thing for a few weeks last year?
I don't want to talk about Bellinger for a few weeks. That's not good enough for me.
You had him on your team, I think, last year at one moment.
Look, I did a lot of things with tight ends the last couple of years because that was just how it had to be.
A lot of nasty work.
I did some things with tight ends last year
because this is the way it needed to be.
Yeah,
the way it needed to be.
I'm looking at the list. Things. Unless I'm missing it, I got the list.
Big old tight ends.
Top 60 wide receivers, and I don't see a single Giant on it. Do they?
They don't have a wide receiving core.
They don't have anybody. The number one.
Wild.
That's why Darren Waller.
Do some math on that just real quick, because 32 teams, that's almost every team has 2 wide receivers before the Giants have 1.
Yep.
This leads me to my point. There's going to be a guy. There's going to be a guy in that wide receiver room that most likely separates himself, and he might slide up into wide receiver 30 territory. I think that's
the ceiling. Do you think that it's one of those 3, or do you think that it's more likely that it's somebody in the wings that's just a different kind of build?
I think if he can put together another healthy year, which is a big if for this guy because he only did it for 1 year last year, but it's Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell has the draft pedigree. He has the athleticism. He has the money that they paid him to come in and be part of this offense. He's been getting all the hype in the offseason. He's very fast. He
if they
put
have
together,
one, it's him.
If they have one, it's him. And the other one that
have we given up on Sterling Shepard?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Sterling Shepard. No, the
Giants
other one
have also given up on Sterling.
Well,
Shepard.
I'm just saying, like I know he's the wide receiver 4, so yeah, he's back there. But we're talking about people coming out of nowhere, right? So
it's Slayton. But Slayton would be the other one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they also took a rookie. I think last year. They took Wandale and they took Jalen Hyatt. So Wandale is a PPR guy. He's a tiny guy. He's a slot guy. He had a lot of hype at the beginning last year. I don't think he's going to do much. He could turn into something. He's got a lot of speed out of the breaks on his routes, but he's a small guy. Jalen Hyatt is a burner. Jalen Hyatt's got down the field vertical speed. But again, I don't think there's going to be enough volume there. And I don't think I don't know if Dable does with Daniel Jones, with what he did with Josh Allen, and Daniel Jones all of a sudden starts putting together some deep accuracy. Maybe one of these guys becomes his favorite target down the field and turns into something, but that's a big if.
Yeah, I won't have any giant receivers on my roster to find that out.
And then again, the fact that Daniel Jones has got to go against the Eagles twice, he's got to go against the Cowboys twice. Those are good defenses.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not ideal. He's in a division with two of the best defenses of the league. So
that's tough.
And they smushed them last year, like all 4 times. They got smushed every time they played against those 2 teams.
The Giants not only play the Eagles twice and the Cowboys twice, but they play the Bills, they play the 49ers, they play.
Well, that's looking rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough year for Daniel Jones, I think.
God, they're gonna win. They're gonna win 7 games.
Yeah, they pulled out a lot of close games last year. The one they took against the Packers in London was a very close game. That came right down to the wire. There's a few other ones, but anyway, I don't know. Not much of a wide receiver. Darren Waller is a favorite tight end target of mine right now.
Mm-hmm.
Get him in the 6th, 7th round. He's tight end 7 off the board. Ton of upside, but a ton of risk too. The man has not been healthy, but if he's healthy,
tight end's like risky. Who cares, right? If it ain't Travis Kelce, like
you're not giving up a lot where you have to take him. You're not wrong.
I've already been quoted as saying I'd rather have Darren Waller than George Kittle.
That's so heavy.
I like it. I like Darren Waller too.
I like Darren Waller too, but man, that phrase gives me the jeebs.
What's gross about it is you just might be right, just because
he might be
right.
Because of the scenario. Yeah.
I feel a little funny saying it.
Yeah, no. The most high upside tight end to me is Kyle Pitts. If Kyle Pitts can actually do it.
But you want to talk about landmine? God bless it, man.
No chance.
It's frustrating as hell to have that man in your lineup and watch that every week and have to feel that when you're setting your lineup every
negative.
You actually are going to have a quarterback, though, who's going to have to throw the ball down the field this year. They're not going to just be able
I don't
to
think Kyle Pitts is the thing. I think he's a full-on bust, and
yeah, we'll talk.
I think he's been a bust because of the coaching, but maybe there's more to it.
And the quarterback play, but
only going off of what I see so far.
We'll get
there. He hasn't overcome anything.
I think Atlanta's going to be a fun team this year. But anyway, we're talking about the Giants. We covered it pretty much. I mean, I don't know who's Saquon's
so much so that we want to talk about Atlanta.
But I think we said Matt Breida.
It won't matter. They're gonna give him the ball 1,000 times.
Yeah. Well, it does matter because Saquon has some injury history. If you're trying to handcuff him or something like that later in the rounds, it's good to know who it is. But anyway, not relevant to talk about here. Should we talk about the Cowboys next because they're clearly the number 2 in this division?
I think that since the Eagles were in the Super Bowl last year, I'm comfortable with that.
There hasn't been
an even playing field.
There hasn't been a back-to-back winner in the NFC East since 2008, and we're calling it now.
Oh, strong counterpoint.
I mean, we're going off of odds, so if there's like this, you know what I mean? Like 1 to 150, 149. If it's 50-50, I'm going with the one that was in the fucking title game last year.
It's true.
And didn't lose anything.
I believe
and might have gotten better.
I believe in what I said, but I mean they lost offense and defensive coordinators, so we'll see if
we lost an OC and a running back.
Yeah.
We started.
But we got but Stephon Gilmore.
We did do that.
But do that. They lost Miles Sanders, but they filled that with Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift.
Which makes
they drafted some studs on defense. They drafted some studs on defense. Again, a couple more Georgia dogs. I mean, their defense is going to be lit again, dude. They're going to be nasty.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Both of those defenses are going to be nasty. But anyway.
Right. We can talk about the Cowboys. It's fine.
Let's talk about the boys.
That's fine.
So let's talk about Dak. He's right now, he's quarterback 12 in ADP, I believe, coming off the board.
He should be on a roster.
I've seen him at 12.
Yeah, I think that seems like a good spot to have him.
The quarterbacks that go around him right now, Deshaun Watson at 9, Tua at 10, Anthony Richardson at 11, and then Dak at 12. And out of all those guys, I think Dak should be the 12 in that scenario. The other guys have more upside.
I think you're right. Especially
I don't really want him.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great to have in a Kellen Moore offense. And all reports are that things are going to slow down a little bit. And I know that like you have to like regress from the number one spot of running the most plays. So like it's not so much they're going to run a slow offense, but like when you ran more plays than any other team, then you got to come back somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be a slower offense this year. I think that's on question. I mean, I know Mike McCarthy very well, having been a Packers fan. I don't think he's the worst offensive coach in the world, but he's no Kellen Moore. It's going to be a very different offense. And you're going to see them run the ball quite a bit more, which is going to take some of the top off. It might increase the efficiency and it might reduce turnovers, but it's going to take off some of that top line yardage and touchdown.
And if we're talking fantasy, you want them chucking. You want them chucking every day. Yeah.
I don't care if you throw 2 interceptions, if you throw 5 touchdowns and 400 yards. You know,
it's true. You just don't.
It's the Jameis Winston effect.
Yeah, the interception's only -2. Like, sling it.
Yeah, let it rip, man. But
Dak's also losing. Like, he's losing a running back. It's going to be a slower offense. He also lost Dalton Schultz. There's no Mr. Reliable for him there.
I think Jake Ferguson's going to be real reliable at tight end this year for you guys.
I think we're going to see a dip in tight end production, but like, again, not significant.
Well, and that's not so much even for a stat point in my head as much as it is like the way that he utilized him was a way to move the chains. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like if you're not finding ways to continue drives, that really impacts your fantasy score too, you know?
But like when Schultz was hurt last year, because there was moments when Schultz was out, I think Ferguson and Hendershot filled in just fine. Like they were both, they're solid tight ends.
They did. That tight end room was just fine.
Yeah, they brought in Schoonmaker, who some people are kind of high on too. He's a rookie, so do we expect him to do much this year?
I'm just glad they didn't pay Schultz because it's kind of like the TJ Hawkinson thing getting out of Detroit. I'm like, don't pay a middle tight end. Like you're building the rest of your team. Like let him go play in Houston.
Yeah, you pay the top end tight ends, otherwise you don't pay. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or you pay some very talented young prospect who might turn into a top tight end or something like that.
Yeah, you can spend some draft capital on it, but like he wasn't worth that.
No.
Keeping around at that price that he was gonna get. Good on him for getting the money, but
his ceiling is Tyler Higbee. That's his ceiling. Dalton Schultz, right? Maybe a little bit more than that, but that's the tier he's in. But
it's comparable.
So tight ends, whatever. I don't think anybody needs to be taking any Dallas tight ends. CeeDee Lamb is well, we're jumping all over here. We talked about Dak a little bit.
You can talk about CeeDee.
Yeah, well, we usually do running backs next, so let's keep it organized. So that was
This is the first time I've recognized any sort of formula to this.
Now we're keeping it organized.
Yeah, we always go quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends kind of mixed together.
I don't know if that checks out.
I bet you just made that up
for the sake of expedience. We'll go with that assumption.
That's generally how we do it. I know we like to mix match.
Now we're back to
general. Is it generally or is it always?
Listen. Let's keep the train on the tracks here as much as
we're setting the framework. We should set the framework, right?
We just said that the lifeblood of this pod is conjecture, ladies and gentlemen, and we like to go all over the place. So we know what
running backs it is.
Yeah, let's talk about running backs. Tony Pollard is gonna light it up this year. Oh my God!
No is it gonna be fun? That. No other choice.
Man, I'm so bummed that he's gonna go as high as he's gonna go because I want him on my team again. I got him as a steal last year, and I'm like, that ain't gonna happen anymore.
I got a lot of Dallas investment in my dynasty team. I got Pollard, CD, and Dak on all starters on my team. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of depth at running back. So, and CD was like my first. He was actually my second pick in the draft after Cooper Kupp. But anyway,
where's Tony going? I want to know where Tony's going. I want to talk about Tony Pollard.
Roughly running back 9-ish, 9-10.
Oh, I've seen him as high as 7. So 7 to 10, somewhere in there.
Does that
put him around? I'm showing JT at 5, Derrick Henry 6, Josh Jacobs at 7. So be in that territory.
I would take him above Josh Jacobs right now because I know Tony Pollard's going to be the guy.
Yes. Do you take him above Derrick Henry?
No, I don't.
Patrick?
He's got such a better offensive line. Derrick Henry's working with garbage in Tennessee.
You guys hearing this?
That's true.
You guys hearing this? Tony Pollard over Derrick Henry?
That's tough. I would be sitting there and I would use most of my time trying to make that decision. That's tough, man. It's tough. Probably Derrick Henry because we know who he is.
It's probably.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. That Derrick Henry better thank his lucky stars that Hopkins got signed there because otherwise Derrick Henry was going to be facing 10 guys in the box every play.
Oh yeah, just getting abused.
So I think Derrick Henry, again, presuming health for all players in all scenarios, Derrick Henry probably still finishes higher than Tony Pollard, but God, there's some sexy upside for Tony Pollard, and he does not have anybody that's going to come in and take anything away from him, just like Derrick Henry.
He's so fast,
and he also has a crazy elusive rating. Like his forced missed tackle rating is very high. He's fantastic at that. So
he's shifty and he's got breakaway speed.
Yeah, he's electric. I mean, it's been building for 2 years now. It feels like the moment. You know what it feels like to me? This feels like the moment where they unhooked the plow that was Eddie Lacy from Aaron Jones, and they let Aaron Jones fly. That's what it felt.
Could be. It could be.
Remember, because there were some years there where Aaron Jones was the guy basically before Jamal Williams started getting some traction, right? And he was wildly effective in fantasy, and I think you could see that for Tony Pollard this year because they're very similar type of running backs.
Yeah, I agree.
Tony Pollard a little bit more of like an upright runner, I would say. Like he's a little bit more upright. He's a little bit taller than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones probably still a little bit better pass catcher, but other than that, they're very similar, I would say.
Well, look at the depth chart behind him. Who's going to take touches? They got a guy named Rico Dowdle at the number 2, Malik Davis at 3, and then that rookie they're drafted, Deuce Vaughn at 4.
They're saying Zeke's going to be back in Dallas.
No, that's not happening.
I've seen some rumors.
I've heard the rumors.
I don't think that'll happen either because I just don't think they're gonna do that for their own self, but
also for morale, that would be
it seems like a weird internal move to make.
Yeah, it does seem like a weird to do that. I would love it.
I think the moment we see inevitably, even before the end of the preseason, a big name running back is gonna get hurt, and Zeke's going to go to that team.
Okay, so for the sake of amusement and conjecture, since that's the theme of the cast, Zeke does sign. Where's Tony getting drafted?
Where's Tony Pollard?
Yeah, if Zeke goes back to the Cowboys, where's Tony fall to?
Oh, then you got to take him down around 15 to 20 at that point, because Zeke's going to get into at least 30% of that the carries.
Still safely RB2 though, you think, right?
Absolutely, with a huge amount of upside, but like he's not that,
because of what Zeke meant to that franchise. It would split things in a way that another name, even if it was like someone good, wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Because right now, I think Tony Pollard's floor for attempts per game is like 15 and like 5 targets a game. Mm-hmm. I think that's like his floor.
And that's a ton.
Like, that's a ton so much work. Yeah, it's amazing. And I don't think like that's. I think that's extremely realistic.
Yeah,
he sees that every week.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So,
barring a name coming in. But
yeah, which I mean, Ronald Jones might not even make the roster. I don't think Rico Dowdle is the number 2. I think the actual number 2 is going to end up being Malik Davis. Is going to be the number 2 down there.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah,
right. Because Ronald Jones is getting 2 games. They'll probably cut him.
Yeah, he got suspended for steroids. You're the 4th string running back. What are you doing, guy? Like, it's clear you're not doing them right. It ain't helping. So
there has been a couple reports I've seen on that Deuce Vaughn, that running back they took out of Kansas State. I mean, low chance, sure, but there's been some talks about him impressing people that I can't.
Took him as
he's so small.
Took him in the rookie draft this year. Another Dallas player on my team. I got Deuce Vaughn.
Darren Sproles look huge.
Think so?
He was extremely effective in college, though. He had good contact.
I want to know how big that man is. He's like 5'5", 160.
He's tiny. He's the reason I changed my dynasty team name to Chunk and Deuces.
5'5", 180.
5'5", 180.
Yeah. And Darren Sproles 5'6", 190.
Wow.
He's smaller than Darren Sproles, but
yeah, I mean, he could easily bulk up a little bit to Darren Sproles' size, but work done was 5'10", 187, man. It's the reason why they're saying Devon Achane could be a thing, because Devon Achane speed-wise and size-wise is the same basically as work done. So it's been done before. It could happen. It doesn't
happen. Well done.
But yeah, see, been done. You see the pun? Did it again. All right. Now, anyway,
this is good for people.
It's fantastic. Brandon Cooks.
Yes, I'm excited. The Cowboys might have 2 wide receivers again after fucking that Cooper fiasco a couple of years ago.
I think Michael Gallup is going to get more playing time than Brandon Cooks.
I do too, but I think having all 3 of them is going to be nice.
I think Brandon Cooks is going to start off as the 2, though. And if Brandon Cooks can stay healthy and put something together, I think he will be the 2. Because Michael Gallup is talented, but he's never done it.
Slot. CD is a slot, so they've got the other guys as the 1 and the 2 technically.
Maybe
how they run it.
Brandon Cooks has made a lot of money being a burner, being a guy on the outside. That's what he's done his whole career. He's done it well.
I would be really surprised to see a fantasy relevant year from Brandon Cooks. I really would. I seem to be less excited about it than everybody else.
I'm not. Listen, I'm not taking Brandon Cooks inside probably the first 7-8 rounds. I'm not giving a look to Brandon Cooks until like the 9th, 10th round.
Yeah.
But he's going to be, again, he's on offense. The volume's going to be reduced. How much are they chucking the ball down the field? When they do it, they're throwing it to CD. How much is left for Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup?
Brandon Cooks been in the league, 9 years, and he's hit 1,000 yards in almost
every single one, except for like last year, I think.
Yeah, I didn't do it last year.
Yeah. He also, there's the massive risk with Brandon Cooks is he's had so many concussions and he's so old now that if he had one bad concussion, he might just retire.
I don't know why, but the phrase "so many concussions" makes me giggle. That sounds so fucked up.
Well, he almost did retire previously, because you remember there was a period in his career where he had like a succession in like over the course of a year and a half of like 3-4 bad concussions.
Yeah.
And he was almost like done at that time. So that's not going to go away. They're going to factor that in. He's going to be the type of guy where, like, you know, a concussion for a guy who doesn't have a history of concussions keeps him out maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. Brandon Cooks gets a bad concussion. He's out maybe like 3-4 weeks. You know,
Brandon Cooks is like a concussion away from Chris Benoit his entire family. Okay.
Oh my God, that's so dark. Come on, man. Come on, man. Yeah, you have to take it there. That was dark. Now, he, you know, so there's a lot of risk there, and it is, and I think he's agreeably past his prime. I think Dallas want to see what he's got, and if he still has it down there, then I think, you know, he's going to be a huge value for Dallas that they didn't have to pay a lot of money for.
Yeah,
I think that's the play, right? So I don't know. I think he's a guy you could take, and you know, he's a lottery ticket. He's got some upside, not a true lottery ticket, because you've seen what he can do in the past. He's got some upside, but he's an aged veteran. I mean, he could Robert Woods, Allen Robinson you this year just as easily as he could do something good for you, you know? Mm-hmm. So, anyway, I think that pretty much covers it. Take the Dallas defense and the top 3 defenses off the board, please God.
Top 3, right?
Top 3 easily, because of points that they're going to put on the board as a defense.
Turnovers and sacks, baby.
The other thing is the way that they're going to run the offense in Dallas this year is also going to slow games down, which is going to give the defense more ability to rest. It's going to allow them to play at a higher level of intensity because they should be more rested. It's also going to give the opposing team less opportunities. So in terms of the points scored against Dallas as a defense, that should go down this year based on the way that they're going to do things. So
that's the talk anyway.
To keep in mind.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's the way that they melted down in that Jacksonville game that made them want to do this. It was just they were dominating that game, and then they were just there for too long.
Apart.
Yeah. Like they ended up giving up so many yards and points in that second half, and it just looked like they were exhausted.
Yeah. Well, they just that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with the thought process on the top end of Dallas to like Kellen Moore go as if he was the issue. You know what I mean? In terms of success.
Do you think that's what it was, or just
he's probably had a desire to leave, you know, greener pastures, wants to audition for a head coaching job, most likely.
Yeah. He's been interviewing for 2 years now.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right. I just don't know if they're right in terms of like wanting to slow everything down, if that's going to be the recipe to take them to the promised land. I don't know.
Yeah, but I hear
you. But you know, having a balanced rushing and passing attack did carry one other NFC East team all the way to the Super Bowl. So that could be an advertisement for what Dallas is trying to do after seeing what the Philadelphia Birds did to the entire league last year. As much as leaves a sour taste in these Cowboy fans' mouth right there, they were fantastic last year. And
they were really good.
Extremely efficient on offense. Arguably the best offensive line in the league still. Probably this year. They have a nasty front 5 on their offensive line, and I think they're going to be great again this year too.
Both of their lines are fucking killer.
Nasty, yeah. Dallas is right there too again, but I still give the edge to Philly.
They're 2 very similarly built teams.
They are. Massive amount of similarities. I think they got a higher upside quarterback right now. I think Jalen Hurts brings more versatility in terms of what he can do on an offense than Dak Prescott at this time too, which also gives the Eagles an edge. You know, Jalen Hurts arguably should be taken as the first quarterback off the board this year in terms of the amount of upside that he brings to the table. It just depends on how you feel about it. Or do you want that massive upside, or do you want the consistency of 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every week that Patrick Mahomes brings? That's the debate. You know what I mean?
If you're choosing between those two, you're not getting a loser.
No,
it's true. Yeah, and it's kind of nice because you can just like let someone else make that choice, right? Like,
yeah,
don't be the first quarterback taken. Be the third because the third is Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen.
Yeah, the third's going to be just fine. And you missed out on the third one, and you got the fourth one. Oh, cool, you got Lamar Jackson. Oh, that's so terrible. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not interested in being the first guy to take quarterback, but it would be fun to have Jalen Hurts on your team. I mean, that's fun.
I think there's a chance
run out there and score 30 points a week for you. You know,
I think there's a chance that Allen takes Jalen Hurts in the first round.
I can see Allen. He loves guys like that.
He does.
Yeah. So does Strozzi, though. Strozzi might.
No, Strozzi ain't gonna fuck up like that.
You're right. You know what? Strozzi is a much savvier drafter than I gave him credit for initially in our league. He does a good job putting his teams together.
I think he does.
And so anyhow, yeah, Jalen Hurts. I mean, we all know why he's great. He was extremely efficient last year. We'll see if that efficiency holds. He's got 2 nasty weapons at wide receiver. He might have the best 1 and 1A wide receiver grouping in the league between AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. It's close between Tyreek Hill and
him in Miami.
Yeah. Yep. You know, in terms of having the 2 upper echelon sets. They're going to be great. He's got everybody to throw the ball to. He's going to score a lot of points. Let's talk about the running backs, because the running backs is a much bigger debate. And I feel like, had it briefly in another episode, but it'll be fun to dig into it here. So,
yeah, for
me, I feel like you guys were saying before that you're more into DeAndre Swift, and I did not agree with that.
I think Mr. Wilson is. I don't want a piece of either of those running backs.
He doesn't. I don't know that I want him on my fantasy team because of like what that backfield looked like just last year. When I talk about being excited by or nervous about Swift going there, that's from a real life, more of a Cowboys perspective.
So, but here's the thing: they have consistently not thrown the ball to the running back in the last several years. Now, is this a chicken or an egg discussion? Are they bringing in DeAndre Swift because they want to throw the ball to the running back more? I don't think so. You have a mobile quarterback. Mobile quarterbacks do not dump the ball off to the running backs. They scramble, and they either run or they scramble and extend a play and chuck it down the field.
But there is still the aspect of trying to evolve your offense. You can't go out and do the same thing every year, you know?
I mean,
yeah, but as far as we're talking about fantasy relevance, though, I think I agree with Patrick. I don't want to spend on DeAndre Swift. I don't want to spend on Rashad Penny either.
I like Rashad Penny because of where he's going, and because I've seen Rashad Penny be an explosive, effective running back in the NFL. I've seen him do it. Can he stay healthy? Probably not.
There's a lot of people that agree with you, and I just don't want to be the one holding that bag. I don't think that there's going to be a top Philadelphia running back because of how obvious it is that Jalen Hurts is going to get the ball on all the goal line work.
That's fine, but look at what Miles Sanders did still last year. Miles Sanders,
that was an aberration.
They have such a good offensive line. Jalen Hurts is not going to take every single carry. Rashad Penny is going to be the first and second down back. Give me Rashad Penny as my 4th or 5th running back.
What about
I'm
Kenny?
fine with it.
What about Bernard? There's too many mouths.
Bernard, you mean Boston Scott?
I meant Boston Scott.
Yeah,
not right. Bernard Scott.
Yeah. Or Giovanni Bernard. I thought maybe you're talking about the mustache.
No, I was thinking Bernard Scott. I want you to know. That's what it did.
Do you want Antonio Gibson, Patrick, or do you want DeAndre Swift?
Oh, I would take Antonio Gibson.
Oh, you feel the same?
But I like Brian Robinson more than Antonio Gibson, though.
I would,
you know what I mean?
Definitely still rather have Swift than Gibson.
Yeah, I would do Brian Robinson before either of those three. Sorry,
most interesting stat that I have about throwing the ball to the running backs in Philly. DeAndre Swift last year had 61 targets at the running back position.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles gave 61 targets total to all of their running backs on their team last year. Are those all going to go to DeAndre Swift? There's no way. Kenny Gainwell's there. I just don't see it. He's not going to get as many targets.
There. I just my opinion. I just think there's a talent gap. I just think that I would take Swift over Gibson because I just think he's a better back, and the situations aren't drastically different enough to alter that for me.
For my numbers here, do you like Gibson more than Robinson?
No, I do not.
So how do you feel about Robinson to Swift?
That one's kind of 50-50 for me. But Gibson's behind both of them for me.
Okay.
I like Robinson.
Same.
I'm just not excited.
I think same.
Robinson.
I think same. Now I'm sitting here like thinking about like where balls got to go. I think it's Robinson, Swift, Gibson. But it's close. Swift, Gibson.
I'm telling you, I think Penny.
Not even off the rails because they're all in the same division. It's perfect.
Yeah, Penny is gonna come out.
It's the cleanest episode we've ever done.
Penny's gonna come out if Penny makes it through. Okay, if Penny makes it through preseason healthy, which is a big if with his history, but if he makes it through, he enters into the season and he's the starting running back, which I think is what's gonna happen. I think he's gonna be the starting first and second down running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. If that happens, he is going to have value. As long as he holds that position, he's going to have value. He potentially is going to have RB2 level value because of how good that offense is going to be.
Let us prognosticate. Let's do an assumption. Let's assume that he makes it all the way through the preseason and into our draft completely healthy. Where do you take Rashad Penny?
He's in the 30s.
About his age or his draft spot?
His ranking. He is running back 32. He's sandwiched between Brian Robinson and AJ Dillon. Yeah.
Huh.
So that's a very interesting tier. So this tier 5, let's just talk
about an interesting tier. Let's talk about
this running back grouping on Fantasy Pros. It's 12 running backs they have all grouped together. It starts with Rachaad White, David Montgomery, Pacheco, Jabal Williams, Alvin Kamara are right next to each other. Or Javonte Williams, not Jabal Williams, Javonte Williams.
Okay.
DeAndre Swift is actually higher than Penny in their rankings. He's at 29. And then you got James Cook at 30, Brian Robinson 31, Rashad Penny 32, AJ Dillon 33. And then you round that out with Khalil Herbert, Dalvin Cook, and Antonio Gibson brings up the bottom of that tier. So we're talking about all in the right range. You know,
there's a couple names there that are easily better than the rest.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, Rachaad White, I think, belongs at the top of that grouping because he's going to get everything in Tampa Bay.
I don't think that's who Cody was talking about. By the look on his face.
No.
Who are you talking about?
James Cook and Alvin Kamara, even with the suspension.
I think people are going to be surprised at how inefficient Alvin Kamara is going to become later in his career.
You might be right, and it might be, like there's going to be a day.
His wall. I saw some games where he was the lead back, and
James Cook is my favorite name on that list.
James Cook is the new hotness. He's going to be great.
He's the hotness in that list of names.
I really like Rachaad White though too. I know
a lot of people do, and I have a hard. I mean, all of his value last year was Tom Brady finding him because Leonard Fournette didn't have any wheels left, and I hear you like volume.
There's nobody there to compete with him. He's third. He's going to be a 3.
Like I don't want a fucking Baker Mayfield led offensive player. Do you remember what Carolina looked like last year when they started the season? CMC didn't matter.
You remember how many points Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt put up in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield at quarterback?
I remember, but like it's I don't want it.
I think Baker Mayfield's going to be just fine for Rachaad White as a fantasy player. Is he going to be as good as Tom Brady would be? No, but I think he'll be fine.
Let's pull it back to Philly. Let's wrap out this Philly.
Yeah, we got to round out this pod because we're going deep on this one. But
the sun's going down, y'all.
I know, and I need to go to bed. I'm tired. So Let's talk about these wide receivers. It's going to be really easy to talk about them. AJ Brown is probably
it's going too high.
5 or 6 wide receiver off the board. I don't think he's going too high. I think there's massive upside there. Now, I would agree with you.
His touchdowns are going to regress is the only thing.
Maybe.
They're going to. He's going to come back a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be a fantastic fantasy receiver. I think he's being drafted at his ceiling, and I think I can get value.
Touchdowns last year. You think that's definitely going down?
Yeah.
It's not even okay.
His ceiling in that offense is the number 1 overall wide receiver. He has that pedigree. He has that ability. He has the right quarterback. He has the team. I don't think he's being drafted too high. I think he's being drafted right where he needs to be, is what I think.
Beginning of the second round?
Yeah. Late, like 12th, 11th, 12th pick or the first few picks of the second round. That's about where he should be.
Yeah, I'm not sniffing on AJ Brown until like 18 or 19. And so he won't be on my team, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the guys that are going in front of him solidly belong in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, Chase and Jefferson are in a league of their own. And then close behind that, you have Kupp and Hill, I think, are also in a tier of their own. And then the next tier starts off, I think I still give the edge to Stephon Diggs over AJ Brown, just because of how consistent Stephon Diggs has been. And he's still the alpha, and he's still with arguably the best quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that changes one bit. Yep. So
I really like AJ Brown, but I think I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb. Maybe that's just because I'm a homer, but
no, I'd rather have AJ Brown.
Yeah. It's so close. It's so close fantasy wise for me.
I don't think you make a mistake either way on one of those, but I think I'd rather have AJ Brown. And the argument against what you're saying, Cody, like, yeah, could he take a step back? Yeah, absolutely. The whole offense could. But what you got to remember is they also had
their schedule this year is not going to be like it was last year. They are going to get they're gonna get ran through.
Well, they're gonna have a harder schedule, sure. But what I'm trying to
say
is
a lot.
That doesn't necessarily make an argument against AJ Brown taking a step back, though, because they had the highest point differential in the first half of how much they outscored teams last year in the first half of like any team in the league. They were consistently up 3 touchdowns going in the second half, and then they would just run Miles Sanders and not throw the ball. If they're going to be in close games, they're going to be throwing the ball to AJ Brown. So in terms of fantasy, I don't think that's an argument against his regressing to a lower volume or touchdown output.
Just to get a little jazz for football season, I looked up their schedule to kind of see their competition. But just from a gamesmanship perspective, weeks 11 through 14 have the Eagles playing the Chiefs, followed by the Bills, followed by the Niners, followed by the Cowboys.
That's going to be a fun string. Those are some great games.
That's so good.
I hope we don't get any injuries so they can get all of them.
Oh yeah,
star players playing against each other because there's a lot of star power in all those games. But anyway, Devonta Smith.
He's the most interesting piece, I think, fantasy wise on this roster because I don't know where to take Devonta Smith, and I feel like everyone's taking him ahead of me.
So there's a group of 1A guys that go right after all the top dogs, right? The top 1A guys are Waddle, Higgins, and Devonta Smith, right?
Yep.
The one that I want the most out of those 3 is probably Waddle.
Yep.
To me, because I think he's the most talented out of those 3. I think T. Higgins is great, but I think Waddle is the most talented out of those 3. And so I would take him first, but I'm just always low on T. Higgins. I know he's great.
Yeah, you are.
I don't like T. Higgins, man. I mean, it's not that I don't like him. I don't like where
He's getting drafted.
His situation.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. And I just think that there's more upside. And I think also that Devonta Smith's game and the way that he fits into his offense, even with the top dog on the field, on the other side of the field, on his same team, there's more upside there. Because when T. Higgins is on the field, I mean, I don't know. There's games where it's T. Higgins' game, but like there's also games where T. Higgins is like a complete ghost and catches 2 passes for 10 yards. You know, It's just, I don't know. I mean, Devonta Smith does that too. It's tough. I don't know. I wouldn't fault you for taking either one of those guys right around at each other. You know,
Jalen Waddle's the answer of those 3.
Absolutely.
I think Jalen Waddle's fantastic.
I think he's great.
I got a boner for Miami. Y'all know this.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do too, though. I mean, I think I do seriously think, you know, Heisman's aside, that Jalen Waddle is the best of those 3 in the NFL right now. But anyway, third wide receivers, I don't think there is one, not one that's relevant. Dallas Goedert technically is ranked higher than Darren Waller right now, and I think that's a mistake, just on sheer volume alone. I just don't think there's enough left to eat for Dallas Goedert after the other 2 finish cleaning up the play.
I get that. I think it's a solid tight end to have, but you're right.
He's a good utility piece now, but he's not a real sexy fantasy option.
He's a guy that can do it. You know, Dallas Goedert can make a big play, and that's what you want at tight end. You want a guy that can catch the ball and take it down the field and make a big play, and he definitely is capable of that.
He's a mid-range tight end 1 in our league, and that's only because of how shit the tight end pool is. You know what I mean?
Tight end pool always sucks.
Yeah,
it's never good. It's always just a cesspool.
You guys remember that really cool tight end class of 2018? Like, fuck no.
Yeah, but like there used to be like a couple of tiers you could at least break him into. I can kind of see some tiers this year, but like
it always looks like one and then everybody else.
No, I don't think it always has. I think there's always been like anywhere from like 4 to 5.
And then we argue that George Kittle's in there, but he's not.
He's not in there this year. The way it goes this year is you have a tier of 1, which is Kelsey. He's in his own tier. And then the second tier is Andrews and Hawkinson. And then the third tier is Kittle, Pitts, Goddard, and Waller. Yeah. And then it's everybody else after that.
You think Hawkinson and Andrews, same tier?
I think so.
Yeah. Hawkinson would be in between those 2 tiers for me, but I could see either way.
He's closer to Andrews' tier than he is to the other tier in my mind, because of just because of the upside we saw in that offense, and they're going to throw the ball a crap ton too. And you brought in a rookie, right? But he's going to step into Thielen's targets. They don't have somebody else that's going to like come in and demand like extra targets above what Thielen was. Thielen actually had a massive amount of targets last year. He didn't do a whole lot with them last year, but he got the ball thrown to him a lot, and TJ Hawkinson was still very effective. I don't think the rookie's going to take that many more targets away that Hawkinson's not going to get the ball.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's why I think Hawkinson's going to be effective. And then Mark Andrews also has to contend with more mouths out there too. I mean, he's got three competent wide receivers out there now, you know, so which might help him because defense is going to have to guard somebody else other than Mark Andrews. So
I mean, it's never been a problem for Mark Andrews in the past.
It's true. It was last year a little bit.
Was he healthy though the whole time?
Maybe there was like
Lamar missed time.
But yeah, he was.
Some of his best games were with Tyler Huntley. Yeah.
Shows how much Baltimore football I'm watching.
Yeah.
Pronounced Baltimore.
Baltimore.
My mistake.
Good old Baltimore's. Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore. Oh God.
Baltimore as a city's having a good year.
We gotta wrap it up.
Yeah, we do. Let's go.
All right, boys. Well, we did the East. As you know, we did the NFC East.
What are you doing that for?
We did it well. Boys. It's because you said one time that when the accent starts, that's when you know the episode's over. So
yeah.
It's the chicken or the egg.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting division. lot of fantasy value there. Fun discussing it. We're probably going to talk South next week. Finish on my my beautiful NFC North as the last week.
Yes.
I love how we're setting that
We're
up.
not ending on the South.
Yeah, that'd be tough. That'd be tough.
It's like ending on a shit sandwich. You don't want to do that.
You know what they say.
Let's eat the shit sandwich. Let's eat the shit sandwich, and then let's bring it back with some nice Midwest cheese curds and a tall, cool Pilsner. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're going to do with the NFC North. If we're talking about this as a meal, folks. But anyway, let's wrap it up. Thanks for watching. We had a good time. That was a fun one.
That's pretty good,
boys.
That's pretty good. What do you got, dudes?
Yeah, we did a good job on that one. I think so.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
it sound like a swamp bog.
Oh my god, it's
well,
so
we
bad.
both sounded like